Are you ready?
Take 3 Wrestling Podcast. It is Thursday, June the 12th, 2025. The Fat Siders are here. It's me, Big Mike. It's that guy over there, Big Jim.
Yo.
We're here. We're here to talk about everything that happened this past weekend. We do have a chock full show for you. We believe we will be joined by the third man, Skinny Vincent, aka Joe Lopez. Haven't heard from him in the last hour or so we may have lost that battle.
I was saying we may have lost him. He said he's been up since 5:45 a.m. So at record time, it's 10:48 p.m. That's a long day for Joe.
He couldn't nap during the intermission or during the women's match of work.
I mean, he could have. But we'll see. We'll see if he makes it.
I'm holding my breath.
Did you see that 6 Feet Under with Mark Calloway is no longer a thing?
It's 6 feet under with The Undertaker.
And fucking Michelle McCool. So they took away that dorky co-host that he had before, and it just made him his awkward wife. Like, oh my God. I mean, I didn't really listen to the podcast before, but I can't envision myself watching it now.
To be brutally honest with you, haven't watched an episode of Cody's. I do think those would be.
Nope.
I do think some of those would be entertaining. I do feel like I'll go back and watch the Jey Uso one.
I'd like to pretend that I will, but I know myself, and like I'm so far behind on content of the shows that I regularly listen to that I just won't.
If I have a down day, I might throw it on while I'm sitting here at the house, doing some stuff for the show and whatever. So real quick, while we wait for Joe, we have some fun news. Luke Gallows and Lariato Pro announced a broadcasting deal across 33 countries with their first taping this coming up Saturday.
Oh, okay.
It is out of Norcross, Georgia. We'll hold exclusive broadcast deal with, I believe it's going to be an abbreviation for Station 49. It's STGN 49. It is distributed on Roku, Amazon Fire Stick, and Turkish television with visibility in 33 countries, including Mexico, Russia, the United Emirates, including the United States and Canada, and will soon add Nashville, Tennessee on channel number 49. So this coming up Saturday from Dublin, Georgia. Massive main event, a triple threat match for the Pro Wrestling LPWG heavyweight title. Easy for me to say. Current champion Bryce Cannon versus former AEW star QT Marshall and Matt Hardy. There will also be John Schuyler, Dax Anthony, Fry Daddy, whoever the hell that is. Great name. So that's this coming up Saturday if you're in the Dublin, Georgia area. Let's see. Kevin Kelly and the Tate Twins, for those of you who don't know, a.k.a. The Boys. Their lawsuit versus AEW was sent to arbitration.
Okay.
Earlier today. Both parties are ordered to be updated every 90 days on the status of the discussion. Again, nothing going on here. Ryan Nemeth's email suit against the company was also recently moved to private arbitration as well.
Wow. Okay. So a lot of lawsuits around the AEW
So
campaign.
so we're heading into Arbitrationville, USA. That's a lot of fun. For those of you that haven't followed along, American Gladiators announced who the Gladiators were. Got some pro wrestlers in there.
They did. They
I
did.
broke the news to you guys. We have Camille and Wardlow from AEW. Former WWE star Rick Boogs.
Rick Boogs.
Boogs. Former TNA and current OVW star Jesse Goddards. He was also a reality TV star. Joe knows him the best because he was Mr. Spectacular.
Mm.
An
Well, it's good to
independent.
know that for this season of American Gladiators, the Gladiators, or at least one of them, won't need to have knees. So, with old
Boogs.
Rick Boogs.
An independent wrestling star, J Rod, who also has appeared on AEW and Ring of Honor and is currently working in OVW. So those are your wrestling known gladiators. I don't know any of the other ones because I didn't look up any of the other ones.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything. I haven't heard.
We also have currently set. We have our first match up announced for Slammiversary from New York's. I don't know where in New York. It just says in New York. It is X Division champion Moose taking on Leon Slater. So that'll happen. That should be a fun match. Hopefully, Leon Slater gets out of there alive.
Yeah, hopefully for him, he does just that.
Jade Cargill lands her first Hollywood film role in a movie called True Threat.
Okay.
True Threat follows Special Force Operation Vernon Threat, who returns home seeking justice after his teenage son is murdered by Harlem's Apollo Kids gang. Threat infiltrates the Carter, a 20th story project building controlled by the gang, and fights his way floor by floor and boss by boss towards a confrontation with its leader and former mentor, Shallow. Cargill will play the role of Mika, a key lieutenant in Apollo Kids and one of the film's central antagonists. Shocker, she's going to be a heel. Mika controls the building's red light district and operates as a power broker inside the Carter. The role will showcase Cargill in an intense, physical, and highly stylized performance space that builds on her athletic background.
All right.
All right, so that's all I got for the news dump.
Oh, hey, the Oilers have taken the lead 4-3
Suck it, nerds.
late here in the third period.
Who scored it?
Who did?
Jacob Wallman.
There you go. Look at that.
Casper Kapanen and Ryan Nugent Hopkins with the assist.
I was way behind on the delay because apparently my TV down here in the studio had forgot to change my broadcast delay to decreased on YouTube TV apparently. So yeah, if you're YouTube TVers, you can do that. There's a setting where you can change it to decrease so it'll be closer to live. Other side note on this Undertaker podcast though, motherfucker just came off heart surgery. Did you hear about this?
No.
So on the first episode of the 6 Feet Under with the Undertaker, it is now on the WWE's YouTube page, brought to you by Fanatics. All of those things make no sense if you grew up with the Undertaker as a literal zombie. But around WrestleMania 41, she's being inducted in the Hall of Fame. He wasn't even supposed to be in Vegas. He wasn't supposed to be traveling. He was dealing with chronic atrial fibrillation. So they went to Vegas, even though his doctors didn't want him to travel. And he did the speech. They went home, and the day after they got home, he had heart surgery to fix his chronic atrial fibrillation. But he is apparently doing better, and is there to talk about it. So if you want to check out the episode and see the dead man in like a button-up blue shirt with a gray hat and his hair dangling out the back of his head, then go ahead and watch 6 Feet Under with the Undertaker. But yeah, so good. Glad that he's doing well.
I can definitely tell you that the likelihood of me watching more than an ounce of that show is about -8%.
Yeah, I mean, if I catch a clip on social media, that's probably all it's going to be for me.
The TikTok.
Yeah.
If I catch something on the TikTok, that's probably about my gist of actually ingesting that show.
Yeah, it would have to be one of like the few minutes that I log into Twitter.
Mm.
Well, what is this? Masson has expanded its Masson Plus direct-to-consumer streaming option to include MLB TV as an additional platform. Fans can subscribe to Masson Plus on MLB TV for $64.99 for the remainder of the regular season. Interesting.
Cool.
Well, me and a friend of mine from work, went split skis on the Masson Plus, so I can actually watch the Orioles this year. Which, what a great season to do that, by the way. What a great year to be like, hey, everybody, you can watch the Orioles when nobody wants to, because
But half that team won't be there by the fucking trade deadline.
Fucking depressing. Like, I just, for the first time, Mike, I felt hope for the first time in so very long, and I blame 2025. Like, I think anything, any shit that happens, I'm just gonna blame this year because this year sucks. Like it.
You're not wrong.
It just the whole year sucks. But all right, we're almost 12 minutes in. Joe's not with us yet.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and say I dead upon arrival.
Yeah, because he said he was gonna have a hard out of like midnight, I think.
Yep.
And we're an hour away from that. So I think Joe meant midnight, whatever the time zone 1 hour
Before
ahead
us is.
before us is, yeah.
Yeah, that probably tracks. All right, so if he doesn't show up, then it'll be a 2-topic show, and
Yes,
it'll be eccentric across what happened this past weekend in beautiful Los Angeles, California. Before we get to the Money in the Bank stuff, real quick recap of Worlds Collide.
Yeah. By the way, it's Atlantic Standard Time.
Okay.
Joe is on Atlantic Standard Time, apparently.
That makes sense. Opening contest, Aerostar, the most over wrestler, I believe, in AAA history, Mr. Iguana. And Octagon Jr. defeated Lince Dorado in the LWO. Just put the strap on Mr. Iguana now.
Yeah.
All the merchandise, all the everything. It's Iguana time. Second up, Lola Vice and Stephanie Vacour defeated Chick Tormenta and Dallas. If you are on social media, the most viral clip is Stephanie and Lola both hitting the Devil's Kiss on the 2 AAA women. That thing's been played about 885 bajillion times on TikTok, probably.
That and the one from Money in the Bank.
On the latter, yes. We then saw Legado del Fantasma of Angel, Berto, and Santos Escobar defeat El Hijo, Dr. Wagner Jr., Pagano, and Psycho Clown. Very surprised with how this match ended. This was the match that I thought was going to go the other way, especially with Dr. Wagner Jr., Pagano, and Psycho Clown. Ethan Page defended his title in a 4-way against against Javon Evans, Laredo Kid, and Ray Phoenix. That was a really good match. I went back and watched that one. Last but certainly not least, and arguably the best match on the show, El Hijo del Vikingo defeated Chad Gable, 22 minutes to retain the AAA mega title. Car crash. That match was an absolute fucking car crash.
Yeah, I need to go back and check it out, but I've heard very good things about it.
Real fun 22-minute match. Real fun.
Okay.
Yeah. But that one's gonna hurt tomorrow if you're Chad Gable. Then he had to lend his boots, I think, again to El Grande Americano, who was in the Money in the Bank ladder match, which we'll get to here in a second. What I will say here about Worlds Collide, if they start doing a AAA based show like this once a quarter or something like that, I think it's perfect for the acquisition of AAA. Do I think that this needs to be a weekly TV show on Peacock or Tubi or whatever fucking random whatever? No, because
Whatever streaming
inevitably,
platform's going to pay them.
because the problem is inevitably you're going to run into the problem where you're like, oh look, watch whatever on our YouTube channel, and then you're going to hear the people that are like, oh, but nobody's watching because the views are down. Well, it's because there's wrestling 7 days a week.
Yeah,
People have lives. People have
yeah,
shit
it's
that
gonna
they're
become that
doing.
thing of yeah, just there's just too much, and for me, we've crossed that threshold already. Like, I mean, I couldn't tell you the last time I watched NXT. I watch SmackDown sparingly.
Oh
I
my
I
god.
even watch Raw kind of sparingly. Did the Florida just tie it? Oh, motherfuckers! I fucking hate this team so much. I really do. Like, there's teams I hate more, but I hate this fake ass pretend fan base that doesn't know shit about shit when it comes to hockey. They're the scummiest of the scum. Their coach is a dickhead. Their players are dickheads. They got the king dickhead fucking Brad Marchand there. Fuck this franchise and fly it into the fucking sun. I hate them so goddamn much. There's nothing likable about the Florida Panthers. Nothing.
There's one thing likable about the Florida Panthers.
What's that?
Sergei Bobrovsky.
All right, I'll give you Bob. I'll give you Bob.
Bob's really good. I like Bob. I would love to have Bob in DC. He wouldn't fix our problems. We have a defensive problem, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, I mean, I'm kind of right there with you. I mean, I don't watch a lot of professional wrestling, as definitely not as much as I used to. I work Fridays, so don't watch SmackDown. You know, I'll throw on AEW occasionally, depending on if it's a 5-hour block of Dynamite, because they're preempted by the NBA the next couple Saturdays, like they were the last two. But yeah, not one of those where I need a weekly AAA show. You want to bring a couple of them up, put them on NXT every once in a while, Mr. Iguana, Psycho Clown, stuff like that. Cool, love it. Want to incorporate a couple of them into the Evolution show? You know, have whoever is the AAA Women's Champion defend the title on the show. Cool. I think that'd be a cool addition. I think that'd be I would love to see them use the TNA Knockouts title on that show as well. Have Masha Slamovich defend against, even if it's somebody from TNA on that show. Like, women's wrestling. We're supposed to be pushing women's wrestling on that show. I think that'd be a cool addition there as well. But that being said, really fun show. Shout out Corey Graves for, I think, doing a pretty good job with the commentary with Conan. I've seen him only get positive reviews from everybody in the Lucha world. So shout out to Corey Graves on that. But then we rolled right over to the Intuit Dome from the home of, I believe, the Los Angeles Clippers. And we rolled right into Money in the Bank. I mean, we can just roll through it real quick. Naomi won the women's Money in the Bank ladder match to start the night, defeating Alexa Bliss, Julia, Rhea Ripley, Roxanne Perez, and Stephanie Vacour, who wrestled her third match in a little over 48 hours. Don't worry if you didn't know that. They told you about 308 times during the match that this was her third match in 48 hours. Good match. Really enjoyed it. I believe the right person won.
Yeah, I mean, I think is like we talked about last week. Like, for me, anybody but Rhea Ripley was the right answer. I don't think Alexa Bliss had to be the answer, but I would have been okay with it. Julia felt like the least likely answer, but I still would have been fine with it because it's a year-long contract. You don't have to burn it in a week. Like, is Julia ready to be Miss Money in the Bank today and to be world champion today? No, but give her a year. I think she's more than capable. So yeah, but Naomi's hitting some of her best stuff right now. So if there's a time to do it, and by no means is 37 old. Like and so because we've seen male wrestlers wrestle well into their late 40s and into their 50s and still be good. But like I don't know how much time we have left with it. When any wrestler gets 35 plus and you've been doing it for over a decade, like the bump card only has so many bumps. So when I say like this may be the last chance for Naomi, it's not. I'm not calling her old. Like I didn't want to make sure that I'm like clear on that. But like, yeah, I mean, she's hitting some of her best stuff, and this heel run, since Elimination Chamber, like this felt like the best answer. It didn't seem obvious, which is great. The other Money in the Bank ladder match, it was obvious where we were going. But like this one, it just all the pieces worked. They gave some kind of mystery and things throughout the match, and we're like, oh, is Stephanie going to do it? You know they did a great job. Everybody did a great job in this match. So yeah, I thought it was a great opener.
Yeah, like there was a couple of like I'm in my own head. I eliminated Julia, especially after Friday night when she jumped Zelina Vega. I feel like they're kind of going to put her in the U.S. title picture to try to get a little bit more prestige on that. So I kind of crossed her off the books. I crossed Rhea Ripley off the books because she's someone who doesn't need the briefcase. So I dropped it down to the four of them, and then I said, okay, well, Stephanie Vacour is going to wrestle her 700th match for the last 48 hours, so I don't think they're going to have her win because I think that then almost discredits every other woman that's in the ring. So I kind of told myself, okay, we're down to Alexa, Roxanne Perez, and then the eventual winner Naomi. And I said, if either of the three of them win, I think I'm okay with where we're at. That's where we ended up going. Where do we see Naomi cashing in the briefcase? Let's talk that out. I mean,
Um,
are we slam dunk that it's going to be cashed in on Tiffany Stratton?
I don't. I think that, and I don't know how exactly we get there because Tiffy's still a face,
Mm-hmm.
and Bianca's still a face, and
Mm-hmm.
Jade's still a face.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like if/when Bianca Belair or Jade Cargill end up as
So Survivor,
WWE.
so SummerSlam, when Jade Cargill wins Queen of the Ring
Yes.
and beats Tiffany Stratton, she then cashes in on Jade Cargill.
Yeah. Yeah, because like and right, wrong, or indifferent, I don't think the WWE has kind of done a thing in recent years where cash-ins happen in storyline more than like just as like a surprise. Like go back to WrestleMania 31, like the heist of the century. That came out of nowhere. That was a surprise. But like now, a lot, you like the Drew Punk WrestleMania Damian cash in. It was like tied to a storyline. Like it just there's a lot, like EO and um like just in recent years they seem like they've been tied to storylines. So I would be very surprised if she cashes in on EO Sky or Tiffany Stratton. Like I don't think there's any chance happening to the EO Sky.
Correct.
Um, and I would be almost as surprised if it happened on Tiffany Stratton.
Yeah. So you're in the. It's gonna probably be the thought process of Jade Cargill wins, gets the title match, wins the title, cashes in on Jade.
Yeah.
Because right now, this is the bracket. Roxanne Perez is in the semifinals of the women's. She was victorious in her fatal 4-way against Kairi Sane, Liv Morgan, and Rhea Ripley this past Monday. The other sides of the bracket, Roxanne will take on the winner of Jade Cargill, Michin, Nia Jax, and Piper Niven. And then the bottom half of the bracket, Alexa Bliss, Candice LeRae, Charlotte Flair, Chelsea Green. And then the other fatal 4-way, Asuka, Ivy Nile, Raquel Rodriguez, Stephanie Vacour. I could see a Jade Cargill, Charlotte Flair. I could see a Jade Cargill, Stephanie Vacour finals. I think both of those would be exciting matches.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that then, you know, you put her in the title match at SummerSlam, the first 2-night SummerSlam. Why not bookend a portion of that show with the women's Money in the Bank being cashed in successfully to win one of those titles? I think it makes too much sense for it not to be at the Summerfest, barring. I don't like that face.
Oh no.
I thought you rolled your eyes. I was like, "What the fuck just happened?"
Oh no.
I think they should, but they still should be at intermission.
Yeah, they're still at intermission. Relax. We're good.
God damn it! You gave me a fucking panic attack over here. Fuck. That being said, I agree. I think it's the Summerfest. I do think Jade Cargill probably wins the title, or something where Jade Cargill has Tiffany Stratton beat, gets walloped by the briefcase. Naomi cashes in the briefcase, kind of heist of the century style, walks out with the title. Jade Cargill never holds the belt herself, kind of thing. But yeah, I agree with you. I think that's the route that goes. Then we had a unannounced match. If you didn't watch Worlds Collide, Dominic Mysterio defended the Intercontinental title against Octagon Jr. 4 minutes and 55 seconds. If we're gonna have a 5-minute match on this show, put Mr. Iguana in there. Let him be the most over
okay
thing.
that they didn't put
because it was only a 5-minute match.
It was only a 5-minute match, and there's no, like, you weren't gonna have Dom lose. And like Dom, I get that he's like supposed to be a heel, but like he's kind of towing that line now because people love him. So like, I'm fine with it not being Mr. Iguana.
Iguana. I just want as much Mr. Iguana as we can get. So that match happened. That's about all I got. Nothing major transpired in that match. We move on. The next match saw Becky Lynch defeat Lyra Valkyria to win the women's Intercontinental title. The match was good.
Yeah.
Absolutely hated the post-match shit.
Yeah.
That was fart out loud fucking terrible. You know,
yeah, why sucked?
Yeah, why does the champion who also loses her title have to raise her hand? Shouldn't it have just been like if Becky loses, like she has to like raise Lyra's hand, and if she wins, she gets the belt?
Well, because that was the big thing, is like Lyra was like standing up against like this former hero that became like a bully, and Lyra was saying like she's better now than Becky is, and it was dumb. I hated the stipulation before the match. And yeah, I didn't like the post-match stuff. And I didn't like the post-match stuff because I was like, I hit the point where I'm like, man, I'm done with this feud. And it was just like, yeah, we're not done with it yet. So like, I think that's what I didn't like.
You might be done with it, but we ain't done.
Yeah, so that's what I hated about it too.
So bad. It's so fucking bad. All right, so that match was followed by the men's Money in the Bank briefcase that saw Seth Rollins win the briefcase, defeating Andrade, El Grande Americano, LA Knight, Penta, and Solo Sikoa in 33 minutes and 35 seconds. I will say that this was the match of the evening for me. Holy shit, it was a car crash. And I will go one step further and say that I think the MVP of the match itself, Andrade.
Andrade was great in this match.
Never stood a shot at winning it, but bumped his ass off in this fucking thing. Shout out to him, because, you know, a lot of people are going to go, it's got to be Seth. It's got to be Jacob Fatu for turning on Solo.
Right.
Not for me, Scoot. The guy who bumped,
who wasn't even in the match.
Yeah. It's got to be Braun Breaker for hitting that nasty spear that he hit. No, it doesn't. Not me, Scoot.
That was a good spear, though.
Great spear. Fantastic. I think the spear on El Grande Americano when he was running down the fucking ramp was the best one he's hit in a while.
The fact that Braun hit that spear and didn't use a trampoline to do it is
I wonder how he gets that much hang time and then goes just flat.
It's just magic. Steiner
math, pixie dust, all of it. Just fucking. That being said, it was very obvious. I mean, we talked about it last week on the show that Seth Rollins is probably going to win this briefcase. Well, hello, we were correct. Not that he needed it, not that I think it's a bad thing for him to have it, but now the question for Seth, and we'll go back to the rest of the guys after. Same question that we answered with Naomi. What does he do? What does he do with the briefcase? When does he cash in?
Well, I thought it was going to be this past Monday on Raw. So,
and then there was a certain Ring General that decided to.
And I get it's because we're gonna get Gunther versus Bill Goldberg.
Can't wait for that Saturday night's main event.
You know what? If it's gonna happen, let it happen on fucking free TV and not on a show that I'm definitely gonna be I will probably watch it.
You're 1,000% gonna watch it. You
want to
know why you're gonna watch it? Because I'm gonna be there and we're gonna watch the death of Bill Goldberg on national television.
It will be, the saddest part is, Mike, I'm already expecting 2025 to 2025 itself, and
he's going to win the title
and make Bill Goldberg win the fucking world title the night of my 40th birthday party. But
if he wins it the night of your 40th birthday party, on the way to the diner, I'm going to have to ask you to stop at a liquor store because I'm going to have to drink an entire bottle of tequila.
Oh yeah, we're well, you'll quickly learn that liquor laws in Pennsylvania are much dumber than they are in Florida. So there'll be alcohol to be found, but we don't have liquor stores at that time of day. But there'll be options. There's
fine. That's
Pennsylvania is so ass backwards when it comes to booze. But yeah. First, let me say this about the match. A couple weeks ago, when I actually watched an episode of Dynamite and could make it through the whole thing, there was a fatal 4-way with Kenny Omega, and Kenny Omega won. It was for the international title.
It was probably him, Claudio, Brody King, and whoever. I don't remember the fourth. Commander, maybe.
But it was that one. And the thing I tweeted at the end of the match was it can be very hard to have a really good match when you know who's going to win.
Mm-hmm.
But I said those 4 guys tonight on Dynamite did just that.
Mm-hmm.
The guys in this 33-minute, 35-second Money in the Bank ladder match did a very good job at putting on a good match when we knew what the ending was going to be. Everybody played their part. There was a couple of spots in the match where I thought Solo gonna get it here. The Jacob grabbing and turning on Solo actually was a bit of a surprise.
Solo, I hate you.
I hate you. But then it makes sense because we have to fill a 2-night SummerSlam, and that's going to be a SummerSlam match.
Should be.
Should be. And there was a point where I actually thought they were going to pull the trigger and have El Grande Americano win it.
Thank you.
What's going on, Fletch?
Hello, hello.
But we got to Seth Rollins, right? Did they go maybe a little bit heavy-handed with the run-ins and extra stuff? Sure, but sports entertainment is going to sports entertainment. How the fuck did that not go in? How the fuck did that? I fucking hate Florida so goddamn much. So now as to where we get the Seth cash in, I think that's the great mystery, because I'm not 100% sure that he actually cashes in on the world heavyweight title. You have John Cena holding a title that he says he's going to take with him when he retires. Seth Rollins could say, "Nah, fam, you ain't." Cody Rhodes appears to be kind of back in that picture. Not that I'm saying I want Cody Rhodes to be the guy that ends John Cena's last title reign, but WWE could WWE, right?
2025 could 2025.
To which then Seth Rollins, who's had history with Cody Rhodes, versus and together, could very easily say, fam. John Cena's kind of been playing the hits over this run. We're about to get John Cena versus CM Punk. There's a guy we haven't seen in a little while. You may have heard of him. He's a Samoan named Joe, that has had some history with John Cena in the past. Let's see the comment. Whenever Seth catches in, Roman will be there to screw him like Rollins. So there's that possibility. I also think there's a reason that Seth is going to cash in on the title, because that was the title that Roman carried, and we eventually get to Roman Reigns winning the Royal Rumble and getting a main event against Seth Rollins, which we've never had a WrestleMania main event, just Roman and Seth. So, and that's just on the SmackDown title side, right? Like there's still this world title that Seth has held. And Seth and company are currently kind of running roughshod over Monday Night Raw. So there's tons of possibilities, not only on who he cashes in on, but when he cashes in on it. And I really hope that they do the service to both of the Money in the Bank winners. But in this case, I think with the men's, just because of where Seth Rollins is so versatile, I hope that they utilize this Money in the Bank win to its fullest. And like, I think there's going to be people that may kind of expect Seth to go, heist of the century again. And maybe he teases it. I don't think he should heist of the century again, but I think he should tease it at some point. And I think that would be fun too. So yeah, I think there's just a lot of possibility. If I had to guess, I'm gonna go with like my theory of he's not gonna let John Cena leave the company with it. So I'm actually gonna play it out that John Cena does not lose, and there's history between Seth and Cena. The whole "you can't see me." I'm going to say Cena doesn't lose the title, is about to leave Boston as the champ, and Seth cashes in on, becomes champ, close out the career of John Cena.
So you're saying December of 2025.
Yep.
All right. I have a couple theories. Theory number one, and it's not Austin. Sorry, Joe. We're gonna go to 16 days from today
Okay.
in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. John Cena has made it abundantly clear that he's the last world champion, that he's going to leave with the title. He's going to face CM Punk. Well, if there's someone that hates CM Punk more than Seth Rollins, I don't know who it is. CM Punk being handed the WWE Championship after beating John Cena and saving professional wrestling, just to have it cashed in on by his former best friend Paul Heyman, his arch rival Seth Rollins, and that squad. Because the fact of the matter is, who cares about a brand split? Not me. So you can still have him on Monday Night Raw with the WWE title. So my theory number one is that is how we get the belt off of John Cena, start the John Cena face turn for the back half of the year.
Okay.
I think the King of the Ring winner will be the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes, which then means you're telling me Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins is a main event at SummerFest.
Don't hate it.
I think after Seth Rollins defeats Cody Rhodes, his group is standing there, standing tall, and that's when you hear the Roman Reigns theme hit. I think Roman makes his return the same way that he did back during the end of the pandemic at SummerSlam. I think that's where we start seeing the seeds of what you said. Roman Reigns winning the Royal Rumble, leading to Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins for the WWE Championship from WrestleMania Vegas Part 2. Because I think that's definitely probably the main event. So that's theory number one. Theory number two.
So also to tie into the having potential two champions on one show for at least a period of time. The WWE draft is reportedly taking place after SummerSlam. So it wouldn't be that long of a period of time. And your first pick for SmackDown would be a world title.
Yeah, Gunther's going to SmackDown.
Yeah, Gunther can move over there. Seth stays on Raw. That's easy peasy.
That's the move when that comes up, or whoever is going to be the world heavyweight champion at that point, whether it's Gunther, whether it's somebody else, to be determined, whatever it is.
Don't say Bill Goldberg. Don't say Bill Goldberg.
I don't think it's Bill Goldberg. I think the person that he's going to inevitably lose it to is going to be somewhere else in here.
Yeah.
And it might be Seth Rollins, and maybe that's the belt that him and Roman fight for. Because I have another John Cena theory here that I've cocked up over the last couple days, which I'll get to in a minute. But I want to finish my theory here with the Money in the Bank stuff. If it isn't Punk after Punk beats Cena, I think your thought process probably makes the most sense. He saves the title from John Cena, but I do think that we're inevitably going to get part of a face Cena run. And that's my other theory. But I don't see him cashing in on Gunther. He's had that belt. He's kind of done what he needed to do with that belt. And he's just kind of like, I want this one instead. I want Roman's belt. But I could see it in a world where Roman Reigns actually does cost Seth Rollins cashing in the briefcase. Seth tries to cash in at SummerSlam. Say it's John Cena versus, and maybe this is where I can incorporate the Cena face run here in my long-term booking, because I've been trying to figure it out. let's not forget that The Rock did the whole
Right. Whatever
motion.
all of those hand signals were.
We said, okay, John sold his soul to The Rock. Cool. What if there's a guy who we're all forgetting was a Rock guy before Travis Scott, before John Cena, before everybody else? There's one guy that, if you guys don't remember, Dwayne The Rock Johnson took it upon himself to hand deliver a gift when he re-signed with the WWE.
Drew.
Goddamn right. So maybe Cody Rhodes doesn't win the King of the Ring. Maybe somebody from the Raw brand wins King of the Ring and challenges Gunther. So now John doesn't have an opponent.
Okay.
Insert face Drew McIntyre.
Okay.
We lead into SummerSlam. And on that starry night, Seth Rollins goes to cash in. Roman takes him out. Drew ends up defeating Cena in that match during all the cluster. Post-match, that's when The Rock comes out and hits John Cena with the...
Gotcha.
And that's when the face turn starts for the last 4 months of John Cena in the WWE. Drew McIntyre has been someone that we've all wanted to have a world title for some time now, because he didn't get that crowning moment in front of a crowd. He got it in front of one big giant ceiling fan.
Right.
So I think that would be a cool moment. I think Drew could fit this whole Rock storyline, because, I would have loved for there to be a world where it was, Rock versus Cena one more time for the rubber match. Don't think that's going to happen.
No, I don't.
Doesn't look likely now, because we're running out of time.
Yeah.
SummerSlam is the only show, aside from maybe the final John Cena show, if they do a pay-per-view in the month of December, that is the John Cena farewell. But I don't think going over on your back to The Rock is the way to end your wrestling career. If you're going to go out on your back to a guy like Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins, et cetera, someone that you're passing the torch to when it comes to who's the guy.
Sure.
I don't think it's Dwayne The Rock Johnson, but Rock might have an ego. I don't know. Never know. So that's where I stick with that. I would love for it to be Drew. And then Seth tries to cash in and gets snuffed by Roman, and maybe Seth beats Drew at a later time for the title, setting up the Seth versus Roman after Roman wins the Royal Rumble. But other guys that were in that match, obviously Solo Sikoa, Fletch said here was great during the entire match. I agree. I think his mannerisms were great. Him trying to get the heels to play along, and then doing the once they all got thrown out of the ring, him trying to do the LA Knight pose and the Zero Miedo with Penta. It was fantastic. And then you get JC Mateo and Jacob Fatu coming out to try to dwarf off Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, and then the whole Solo I hate you. It was just perfectly done. I think that's your match at SummerSlam. I do think that that's going to be the match that takes place there. That being said, I think that's the direction that Solo goes into. As for the rest of the guys in the match, I just want to know what's next for him.
Yeah.
That's my big... Let's go! Suck it, LaFleur.
Nice. Eat dick, Florida. That's huge.
Home ice is back in favor of the Edmonton Oilers.
Yeah. Yeah, because they had to win. Yeah, they had to win.
They had to win a game.
Nice.
All
Of
right,
course, it was Draisaitl too. Anyway, back to
back to the
I got
wrestling.
like I got so because you're like 5 seconds ahead of me.
Sorry.
So I was very quickly. I was like, what the fuck just happened?
Bang.
I was like, is Mike's heart exploding? Do I
Yes,
need to call Carol?
probably.
I was like, I don't have Carol's number. Well, now we're all screwed.
So El Grande Americano, inevitably, the whole Izzy Chad Gable thing is going to play out. I think that plays out sometime around SummerSlam. Maybe he has a mask versus mask match with one of the luchadors from AAA on the show. Could be a lot of fun. I'm not going to say that it wouldn't be. I don't know where it goes, but inevitably something's going to happen. But I have less than 0% idea of what they're going to do with Andrade. Penta probably goes back into the IC title picture with Dominic Mysterio. But my real problem here is the last 3 years I've been told that it's LA Knight's time to be the Money in the Bank briefcase holder, and I've been told that he was going to be a main event player and he was going to be a guy, and he had the great match with Roman Reigns, and I'll never forget the aura of Roman Reigns being broken by LA Knight just saying fuck it and coming out during his entrance. For the only guy that's ever done that. It's easy to remember that moment, but it's like, fuck, what do we do with him now? And he's the only one that I'm really like, he's been in the U.S. picture. He's been the U.S. champion for God knows how long.
Yeah, the unfortunate thing for LA Knight is there's only 2 world titles. One of them has been eternally locked in to 3 people for the last 5 years. Because it's been Roman, and then Cody, and now thank you, John. To which they only created the second one like what, a year and a half ago?
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a real bad spot that LA Knight is in. So you start to play that game of, do we give him, right, do we keep feeding him mid-card titles? Do we move him to Raw and have him collect the Intercontinental title? Maybe, but then that means Dominic has to lose. So it's just the math ain't mathin' for LA Knight, which stinks. Now, granted, he could move to Raw and get involved in the Gunther, Seth Rollins, Jey Uso, like that is LA Knight's road to a world title. He has to get away from the WWE championship. He has to end up on whatever show the world heavyweight title is on. So if it is going to happen, I think it should happen. I think it could happen. Let's also keep in mind that there's been plenty of great WWE superstars that have never been the world champion. There's plenty of great WWE superstars who've never held a singles title. So I don't think success and failure needs to be directly tied to being a champion. But that said, if it's going to happen for LA Knight, I think he has to get away from the WWE championship, because that seems to be the heavy hitter title. And no offense to LA Knight, but in the WWE's universe, he's not a heavy hitter. Like, he is above mid-tier, but he's not elite tier. You know what I mean? Like, he's not Cody, he's not Seth, he's not Punk, he's not Cena, he's not Roman. He's just below. Like, he's also not Solo or where Dom's at. Like, he's above mid tier. So yeah, they have to get him towards the world title.
I don't disagree with you at all. I would also say LA Knight finalist for King of the Ring. Sami Zayn is already in the semifinals. He won his Fatal Four. Carmelo Hayes, LA Knight, Randy Orton, Aleister Black. The winner of that takes on Sami Zayn. Bottom half of the bracket: Andrade, Cody Rhodes, Damian Priest, Shinsuke Nakamura, and then you have Bronson Reed, Rusev, Sheamus, and to be announced. Any idea on who TBA is going to be?
Mr. Guana.
That'd be epic. That'd be dope.
It would be a lot of fun. I don't
think he fits that big bruiser
I don't think
match that they're putting in this spot, because that is the 13th annual Big Meaty Men Slap and Meat Invitational.
I don't think it's Drew, because Drew's not healthy yet. Is Bronson in one?
Bronson is in that match. Bronson Reed, Rusev, Sheamus, and to be announced.
Is anybody out hurt right now? It's like, let me see if I could.
I'm trying to think off the top of my head.
Let's see. Men.
Let me go to my rusty trusty SmackDown hotel and see if there's.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at.
Nobody cares about Apollo Crews.
Ilya Dragunov? Like, I know he's smaller.
That's kind of what people have been saying, is that they feel like it could be an Ilya thing. If he's back. Honestly, I wouldn't hate it. Another name that I would enjoy, not that he's going to win, but I would enjoy it. Hear me out. Joe Hendry.
I'd be fine with it. I'd be good. I'd be good with it. He's got to put out a good showing, though.
Sure.
You got to make him look good. But yeah, I'd be good with that. I'd be good with that.
I just don't know that there's someone else that you're like, yep, that's the guy. Unless, hear me out, he's not going to win it, but he's a big son of a bitch. Omos.
I've seen a couple people hypothesizing that as well.
I think he could be a nice addition to it.
Be a fun little addition.
Like I said, I don't think he would win it.
This spot had Braun Strowman written all over it. Like, if we're being honest about it.
Correct. I would agree with that assessment.
That had Braun Strowman written all over him. All over it. But he goes. Yeah.
All right. So then we get to the main event. Cody Rhodes, Jey Uso defeat John Cena and Logan Paul, 24 minutes. Fun match. Hear me out. Shouldn't have closed the show.
No, I agree.
It was a fun match, and I feel like if you put that match beginning of the show or even the middle of the show, I think that match gets received very well. I think WWE tried to put it into our heads that, oh God, Seth Rollins just won the briefcase and both champions are involved in this match. Seth Rollins just wrestled a 33-minute match, and these two guys are the champions are wrestling a tag match. I don't think it's believable that Seth's going to cash in the same night. Drew last year made sense. It opened the show.
Correct.
He had an hour and a half to rest and come up with his game plan or whatever. I get it. The Wiseman's there. I get it. Bronson and Braun are there. Not necessary. I think this match is perfect in any other spot of the show. I think you close with the men's Money in the Bank briefcase, and I think you give that Seth Rollins faction the celebratory send-off moment. But Hogan must pose. John must main event. He's going to close out one of the nights of SummerSlam. This is the John Cena retirement tour, boys and girls.
Yeah.
It is what it is. That being said, I enjoyed it. Logan Paul is still doing Logan Paul things, jumping off of shit, breaking tables, breaking his own ribs. You might hate him, but the dude's a fucking stud.
He's good at sports entertaining.
He's good at making sure that you hate him. He does his job real well. Chef's kiss to him. That being said, that is Money in the Bank. That is the show itself. Currently, Cage Match. The fans are giving it a 6.3 out of 10. I'll go a little higher from the in-ring perspective. The women's Money in the Bank is getting a rating of 6.4. The IC title match, 4.6. That's a 5-minute match. How can you really grade that as anything more than incomplete? Yeah. You guys are idiots if you're grading it anything more than that. The women's IC title match, 7.89 is the ranking there. I have no problem with that. I would probably be in like the 7.5 because, like I said, the post-match stuff really just brings a really good match down to, it was good, but it dragged out an extra 5 to 7 minutes that it didn't need to with the post-match shenanigans. Men's Money in the Bank, 7.51. That's the second highest match behind that IC title match. The main event, 5.37. So that's that. That is the fallout of Money in the Bank. But it's not the only thing that happened at Money in the Bank, Jim.
Yeah, it is not the only thing that happened at Money in the Bank, because at the end of Money in the Bank, John Cena got attacked by a fan, or so it appeared. R-Truth comes back.
Ron Killings
from out of the crowd, attacks John Cena, beats him down, hits him with the belt. And then takes over and takes a segment on Monday Night Raw where he basically says, I'm in the driver's seat now. Happy fun time dude who lets people walk all over him, all of that's all over. And he cuts his dreads off and basically announces to the world that he is Ron the Truth Killings. And it's time to put respect on his name. And I love every second of this, because he's not telling the world that he hates R-Truth, the character. He's not telling the world that there was anything wrong with that character. But for those of us that know that Ron Killings is a great wrestler, there's a lot of people in the WWE universe that have probably never seen a Ron Killings match. Like that's a wild reality, right? But there's people who are watching the WWE now who have never seen a Ron Killings match because he was last in TNA in 2007. That's 18 years ago. Right? So this is an opportunity for him to kind of close out, whether it's his career or just his WWE career, how he wants. And he has the opportunity to where if WWE makes a poor business decision again, or we don't know how long this new deal's for. We don't even know when his original deal ended. There's still so much mystery on that. But let's pretend and say that his original deal ended at the end of August, right? What if he signed for another year? Cool. From now till basically, after SummerSlam next year, this is the Ron Killings farewell to WWE. Well, if Ron Killings doesn't want to be done with wrestling after next year, guess whose name just got a lot more expensive?
Ron Killings.
To whether it's AEW or TNA or the independent and convention circuit. Ron Killings just ended up making a lot more money. Because now you have 1 year of Ron Killings being featured on WWE TV.
You at least got 6 months of it till John Cena retires.
And there's part of me that thinks that there's a possibility that somewhere in this next however long he's here for, that you could see him end up in a world title spot.
I could see him beating John Cena and then losing it back to him a week later.
Something.
I could see it. I could see John being like, nope, let's do this.
Where?
Beat him on an episode of Raw. He wins it back the next week. Everything goes back to normal.
Yeah.
Truth wins by some stupid flash, roll up, hits him with the belt, leaves Monday Night Raw with the title. We start the next week off, and it's Adam Pearce going, I need the belt back.
Yeah. But man, this was good. If you haven't watched the promo segment from Monday Night Raw, the little backstagey segment from Monday Night Raw, and then some of the stuff on Busted Open, I think today.
It was either today or yesterday.
Do yourself a favor, because this is awesome. I'm here for this, man.
I'm kind of glad he cut the dreads though, because they were looking a little
yeah. Well, and
worn.
I think given, and now here's the $1 million question, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because within a short period of time, the hairstyle changed, even though he still had dreads.
Mm-hmm.
Now he cuts them off. Now he's got a new hairstyle. Was this coming all along? Like,
were we getting work, brother?
Right. Because we talked about it on 3CT this week, but is this a work Was this a shoot? Was this a shoot that became a work? Was this a work that became a shoot? Like the beauty of this is in a similar vein to Montreal in 97.
Mhm.
It is going to be a question that can be debated for the rest of our lives.
Mhm.
Because there are people that are still adamant, even that were within the company, that the Montreal screw job was that was the plan the whole time and everybody was in on it. And then there's people that said, nope, they had a deal. And Vince said, that doesn't work for me, brother. So was Truth actually released? Or when Triple H said, do you enjoy the show? And then here's the thing, wasn't released. His contract was going to be allowed to expire. That I keep myself getting lost in that verbiage. So I got to make sure I'm correct. His contract was going to be allowed to expire, and then it changed.
I believe this is a shoot that turned into a work.
Okay.
I will say, because Ron Killings was not the only contract that was announced on that fateful weekend that was going to be sent to expiration.
Okay.
If this was a solo dolo and it was just Ron Killings coming out and posting, hey guys, it's been great. I'm going to miss you. Look out for me on XYZ, OnlyFans, Onomatopoeias, whatever the fuck, whatever. Cameo, whatever. But other people also got that same phone call that said that their contracts were not going to be renewed. That's where I think it's okay. I think we rushed into this without actually looking to see how the fans would feel about Truth not being there anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that spitballed into, well, we tried to offer him less money, and the answer was no. Well, okay, well, maybe, offering him 10% of what he made was kind of a slap in his face. What if we offer him 50% of what he made? And the number became more realistic, where Truth's like, I can work 2 nights a week, be home with my family, and make the same and not have to travel for a weekend convention in Poughkeepsie, New York, not have to wrestle 3 nights in 3 different cities for GCW, not have to wrestle 3 nights in the same city for TNA when they do a event and 2 nights of tapings. I get to be involved in the world title picture with someone that I see as a colleague and a fairly good friend of mine, and John Cena, for the next couple more weeks. Maybe it makes sense to take a small pay cut and maybe lose 50% of my profit, but it guarantees me that I'm going to make what I was hoping to make on the indies and on the circuit and on doing TNA or AEW. Because here's the reality of the situation. I don't know that Ron Killings would have ended up in AEW. I think Ron is a smart enough human being to understand, at his age, he ain't going into AEW and being in the world title picture.
Yeah.
Going to TNA and fighting for a title that you've held before, or won a title in that company, and try to win the like, that makes sense. Plus, with the working relationship with WWE, kind of feels like a fairly easy pivot.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I think it literally was a shoot that turned into a work, because I think the reality of the situation is that Truth's contract was up at the end of August, and they knew that they were ready to move on. And then the fans came out and said, well, we don't like that. But I don't think it was just the fans. I think that there was a clear, bright, and to the point that there were a lot of people that you are paying a lot of money to that were not thrilled with this decision. They were vocal about it on social media. I'm willing to bet they were vocal about it backstage. I'm willing to bet that there are probably some people who went to Triple H himself and said, Hunter, Phil, Paul, Billy, Susie, all of you guys that are in the board of directors, you're making a terrible fucking decision. Is Ron the Truth Killings going to be John Cena? Is he going to sell $5.7 million worth of T-shirts in a 12-month John Cena retirement tour? Probably not. But he's a great morale guy. Everybody in the locker room loved him, loves him, wants him there. I wouldn't be surprised if Randy Orton walked in and said, Paul, what are we doing? What are we doing? Maybe that was the reality check of, all right, well, if we can save some money,
Right.
let's save some money rather than save all of it and piss off the 55-man roster that we have that we need at Raw the next night in Phoenix, Arizona. I said it last week on the show. I will double down on it right here on this show. It was a business decision all along. Well, guess what? In the business world, you can change your mind on a decision and fix your screw ups 90% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what this was. They made a business decision. They then took a step back and said, damn, we made a wrong business decision. Can we still fix this? Yes, we can. All right, let's fix it. And that's just the vibe that I get. And then it turned into, okay, I'll come back, but I don't want to be R-Truth anymore.
Yeah.
I
If
want
I'm
this to
coming
be
back,
believable.
I'm doing it on my own terms.
And I want this to be believable. You've had my name for the last 15 years. Let's give them something crazy. Let's give them something that they're never expecting. Let's go out there and let me be Ron the Truth Killings. And it worked.
So if and I tend to agree that this was a shoot that ended up as a work. And I mean, here's the thing. You and I are sports guys. We know that there's not been a ton, but there's been instances where a player has tested free agency, didn't find the deal he was looking for elsewhere, so went back to a place they were familiar with. It happens.
Looking at you, Ezekiel Elliott. Sorry.
It's okay. I do think that the WWE had said in some form or fashion, hey, you know, this is what we want to offer. Take it or leave it. He said, I'm worth more than that. And they said, we're going to let your contract run out and we'll pay you out the rest of your contract and then you get to leave. And then the backlash happened. And WWE went, okay, maybe there's more value in R-Truth than we thought. And then Nick Khan had to get involved. You know, so yeah, I do tend to lean that it's work that ended up into, or a shoot that ended up into a work. That said, if that is how it ended up actually being, right? Let's just now pretend with the scenario. Does it bother you that in the press conference Triple H is asked about it and Triple H is at best craftily misleading by saying, did you enjoy the show? Because Triple H didn't say, hey, we fucked up. We didn't realize how much value we had in him and we righted a wrong. But Triple H also didn't say, you know, this was part of the show all along. You know, you journalists and news guys, we always have to keep you guessing. He didn't go hard one way or the other. He basically just said, did you like what you saw tonight? Are you okay with that? If you're doing a press junket like that?
I'm not upset with it. I feel like I'm indifferent to it. And I think my thought process is the same that I had last week and that I mentioned earlier. It was a business decision. That I don't know that I think there's a lot of people that thought that this was malicious or because the whole backstage political belief is that Triple H isn't pushing black wrestlers. I don't know what it is. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm upset by it because, as you've mentioned, we're sports fans. When was the last time you saw a general manager sit down and go, "Hey, so we traded John Lester," and I'll use John Lester as an example. We traded John Lester to the Oakland A's because we're not going to make the playoffs, and we decided to move on from John for right now, knowing that he's a free agent at the end of the year. We're going to try to re-sign him. They didn't re-sign him. But what would have happened if they did? Is John Henry going to come to the podium and be like, "Yeah, we fucked up"? Dallas Cowboys let Ezekiel Elliott go. Went to New England, had a good year, came back. Jerry Jones in that introductory press conference didn't look up and say, "We fucked up." Shook Zeke's hand, handed him his jersey, took some photos, said that Zeke left, went to New England, found himself, really liked what he saw, really excited to have him back, XYZ. I feel like Triple H kind of said the same thing in not as many words.
Yeah.
It was kind of like hey, did you guys enjoy it? Hope you guys keep watching because it's just going to get better. And I think that's the thing. It almost makes it where, like, what is the mystery of this angle? Is Ron going to show up Monday night on Raw? Is he going to show up Friday night on SmackDown? Where's he going to be? What's he going to do? What's he going to say? It's all a mystery. Did you enjoy it? Good, because if you enjoyed it, now you're going to have to watch the next couple weeks of TV to see where you see Ron the Truth Killings.
So I don't think they don't have the full promo segment. But I know the reason I'm okay with Triple H going out in front of the media and not being like, "Hey, the fans' voices matter. We listened to the feedback. We know people were upset. We wanted to do the right thing, all of that." The reason why I don't think they did that is because when Ron Killings came out of the crowd to no music on Monday, stood on the announce table and said something along the lines of, "Don't let anyone ever tell you that your voice doesn't matter. Don't let anyone ever tell you that your voice isn't heard. I am back here because of you." If Triple H says, "Hey, we made a mistake. We re-signed R-Truth because people's voices." Yeah, that's Triple H being honest. That's empowering the fans. That's quote unquote building goodwill. That's also cutting Ron Killings off at the knees. Because if you just say, "Hey, we heard you guys. You want the truth. You got the truth. Tune in Monday to see R-Truth." Like, I don't know that we get Ron Killings cutting his hair off, thanking the fans and all of that. Triple H kind of putting it as this cloud of mystery ish and just letting truth speak for truth, or letting Ron speak for Ron, is actually more powerful. So I'm fine with the way that it was handled in the presser. here's the thing. The beauty of pro wrestling is when we don't know what's real and what's not. We, 25 years ago, we didn't have the luxury of the internet and knowing every time a wrestler coughs because Sean Ross Sapp reports on it. We believed what we saw. Now we believe what our minds tell us because we're smart. So, like, is Triple H trying to insult our intelligence? Is Triple H trying to deflect? Is Triple H trying to hide the goodwill? Or is Triple H just trying to let wrestling be wrestling? Yeah, I'm fine with it. I think it's great. I hope that everybody involved gets the maximum out of this.
Yeah, I agree. I don't hate it. I think Triple H has been very open and honest in all of those press conferences that he's done since taking over. So maybe a little bit of mystery isn't a bad thing. Maybe this keeps the fan wondering, okay, what's a work, what's a shoot, what's right, what's wrong, etc. That being said, big fan of it. Think it went over very well. I think the whole truth stuff in general went over real well. 2 thumbs up. Excited to see what the next step is. Obviously I don't think it's John right away because John's going to fight in Riyadh, and I don't know how many more dates we got from John before Saudi Arabia. So, and they've already announced that match is John versus CM Punk. So I don't know that we get a R-Truth stuff right now in the title picture. Maybe he just keeps coming out, and every time John's in the ring, he comes to take John out, kind of thing. He doesn't have matches for the time being. He just kind of shows up, goes rogue, and then leaves.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that too, because I think it keeps the mystique of the character and what we're doing with him on another level.
Yeah, for sure.
As I'm yawning my face off.
Yeah.
Before we get to Wrestlers of the Week, AAA has a show this weekend.
Okay.
It is the Triple Mania in Rainier. I'm gonna read off this card to you real quick. Rapid fire like we did last week. 6-man tag match. El Physical, the most over wrestler in WWE history, Mr. Iguana, and Nino Hamburgeresa, easy for me to say, versus the Tokyo Bad Boys of Kento, Nobusan, and Takumura.
If you don't go Mr. Iguana right now, you're doing it wrong.
Hell yeah. This is a title that I want to see on the women's show Evolution too. The AAA Reina de Reinas, the women's title. The current champion is Flammer. She's taking on Dolly's and Lady Shani. Was Dolly's the one that was on?
She was, and I think you get her the title here
Because she's the known name.
Yep.
I would tend to agree with you there. If not, then maybe you get the champion retain. 6-man tag match is La Parca, Laredo Kid, and Octagon Jr. versus Los Vipers of Abismo Negro Jr., Hysteria, and Taurus.
Let's go Team La Parca.
I'm sorry, every time I think of him, I just think of WCW with the dance.
Of course.
I'll go with them as well. The AAA World Tag Team Title Fatal 4-Way match. Nueva Generacion Diamante of the champions Forastero and Sanos defending against Pagano and Psycho Clown, who were in Worlds Collide. Los Garzas of Angel and Berto from the WWE. And the fourth team in this, Ryan and Nick Nemeth.
One of these things is not like the other. One of these things doesn't belong. I'll say champions retain here.
I will take Pagano and Psycho Clown. The TNA X Division title will be defended in a fatal 4-way match. It is the champion Moose defending the title against El Macias. I'm trying to figure out if that's someone that I've heard of before. It is. You want to know who it is? Judas Macias of the old NWA. He also went as Mil Muertes in Lucha Underground.
Okay.
He is in this match. He is part of the match. Also, El Hijo Dr. Wagner Jr. And the final man, Joe Hendry. I believe that this one is just gonna go
champion retain.
Moose.
Yeah, I agree.
And the main event, the rematch for the AAA Mega Title Steel Cage match. The champion, El Hijo del Vikingo, Alberto El Patron.
Boo, this man. I don't care if the title changes hands. I am not picking that asshole. So give me Vikingo to retain.
Fuck that guy. Yeah, I'll take Vikingo to retain as well. I think that's probably the smartest idea. They have announced 2 more shows after this one. Verno de Escalando, July 11th, and then the culmination of all the Triple Manias, Triple Mania 33 from Mexico City on August 16th, the week after the Summerfest, right? Or 2 weeks after this, 2 weeks after the summer. So that's a AAA update. I'll keep an eye on that because I think that's a lot of fun to at least do a rapid fire of what's going on. So let's go to Wrestlers of the Week so that we can get the hell on out of here since Joe died.
Nice knowing you, Joe.
RIP. We'll go 3 each since Joe's not here, and I will give you the first pick, my friend.
Beauty. Yeah, in this house, we're a Gunther house. New World WWE World Champion Gunther.
So does that make you like a Publishers Clearinghouse?
Yeah.
All right. Gunther, New World Heavyweight Champion. I'll go with Seth Rollins, Mr. Money in the Bank.
Good choice. Good choice. I'll go Naomi, Ms. Money in the Bank.
Yay. You know what? The most over guy in professional wrestling. Not named Ron Killings. Give me Mr. Iguana.
There you go. Well, if you had taken Ron Killings, I was going to take Mr. Iguana, so give me Ron Killings.
I'm just going to write duh as the tagline for him in the...
I like that.
All right, and last but certainly not least, let's see. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give it to, if I can find, I just want to verify that I'm not a dum-dum, because I can be a dum-dum. Because there's a couple of different ways we can go here. We can go El Hijo del Vikingo, but I think I'm gonna go. You know what? No, I am gonna go El Hijo del Vikingo for retaining the title. All right, Jim. Tell them where they can find you.
Yeah, you can get me at Big Jim Sports on Twitter and Blue Sky. I don't tweet or whatever they call it on Blue Sky a lot, but
Flap.
You can hit my link tree in there, take it all my projects, Discussions with Nobody, Huddle Up Podcast, of course this, and the big one right now, 3CT. We had our live show this week. Wasn't our best work, but it ended on a high note. And we have a fun one coming up on our Tuesday podcast. So make sure you check that out. Hit the subscribe button on the 3CT YouTube channel. I've been trying to be a little bit more active with creating some content to get up there. So we have kind of daily content hitting the channel. So just hit the subscribe button there. Do us a favor. It's where our live shows go. So yeah, check it out.
You can listen to Joe talk about movies on the Joe Movie Podcast.
One word.
All one word. That's it. That's all we got for this week. It's been a fun recap of Money in the Bank. It's been a fun talk about Triple Mania and what's going to happen next. Join us next week as we wind down the road to Y'all In, because everything's bigger in Texas. Until then, for Jim and Joe, I'm Mike. We will see you next week on the Take 3 Wrestling Podcast.